So I think meditation is becoming increasingly important in our society, mindfulness. It's the missing ingredient in terms of our human evolution, really. We've kind of been on this path of more and more separation from our true nature, really, over the last, well, certainly over the last 2,000 years, but probably for quite a few millennia before that, I don't know exactly, but there's never been a more important time in our own way to find a way to check in, to connect, to relax into the power of now, you know, to kind of, because we're not losing anything of any value when we do that. We're only gaining. We're gaining our true selves, really. We're not separate, you know. There's been this divorce from nature over the past 2,000 years, where we've kind of evolved to think that we're better than nature, above nature, and can treat nature really, really very disrespectfully. But of course the truth is that we're of the earth, you know. We're always going to be of the earth, and it can't be any other way. And so when we plug back in, when we land back into the power of now and meditation, we're connecting with part of who we are, with part of our heritage, you know, the divine wisdom of the earth. And this whole kind of earth energy, universal energy, well, they're both the same. You know, the earth is part of the universe, so there is only one energy. You know, this whole kind of yin and yang idea is like, you know, it's in a constant flow, in a constant flux, constant movement, nothing set, nothing permanent. The whole entirety of the universe didn't exist at one point in history. You know, and that will also, you know, there's this idea that the whole universe is slowly expanding from the Big Bang, and then it's actually slowing down at the moment, and then there'll eventually be a contraction over tens of millions, if not billions of years. But essentially the whole universe is doing like a heartbeat. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. So everything is in a birth and death. Everything is in a cycle. Everything is coming into being and falling away. Coming into being and falling away. Which is why the breath and sitting, being embodied in our experience is such a beautiful teacher to us, because it reminds us that we are transitory, that our sensations, our feelings, the sounds outside, they're all fluid. Nothing is fixed. We're scientifically not the same people we were an hour ago, because there have been cells that have died. You know, we're in a constant state of renewal and growth. You know, our entire bodies are reborn every 7 years. So who are we exactly, you know? And meditation starts to become an opportunity to explore that question, because it's like either that petrifies you, the idea of who am I, or it's kind of like, who am I then? If I'm not the body, and if I'm not the thoughts, and if I'm not the sounds or the reaction to the sounds, or, you know, I'm not my to-do list or my 5-year plan or my health, my finances, whatever, you know, all of those things are a construct, an idea that we have kidded ourselves into thinking that we are separate from nature, that we're individuals. And of course we are individuals, you know. We're unique, we're special, we're individuals, but we're also part of this oneness, this great expanse of the universe that is constantly flowing, and it's so beautiful. My God, you know, the world. Look around the world, guys. You know, look at your own body. You don't have to go outside your front door to see a miracle. There are 100 million miracles going on in your bodies right now, you know, most of which science does not understand. You know, this whole notion that science has the answers. Science doesn't know shit, man. Most of it's just theory, and we've kind of constructed a reality around theory. Oh, okay, you believe in that, oh, okay, I'll believe in that as well. And then before you know it, religions get formed, and societies get formed, and governments get formed, and culture gets formed, and is any of it real? You know, it's all in a state of flux and change. Now that can be tremendously empowering, because it means we can change, you know, our difficulties, our struggle, our pain, you know, our partner that doesn't do the washing up, whatever, you know, it's all in a state of flux. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is forever, and everything is moving and changing. And if we start to allow ourselves to flow with that, if we start to surrender to a deeper intelligence, you know, you can call it what you will. You know, you can put names on it and put pictures on it, imagery that you associate with it, but this incredible system that we're living in, this incredible body that we're embodied in, you know, it's 100 million miracles happening in every heartbeat. And it's so incredibly beautiful and complex and wise, and it's really so empowering when you can wake up to change and start to see change as something to befriend, something to be okay with. Because this false sense of self that we have over thousands of years kind of sedated ourselves with, this idea, this notion of individuality, you know, that we are separate, has fueled this ego, you know, that I want, that I need, that I'm afraid, that I'm angry, you know, powerful, primal energies that fuel our society. You know, no wonder the world's so fucked up. Jesus, you know, where most of us, like 99.9% of us, are running on this ego energy of fear and identification with belongings, and I want this but I don't want that, and I need this but I don't need that, and why is this happening to me, and this is so unfair, and I don't like him and I don't like her, and all this judgment, and whoa, you know. Maybe none of that's real. You know, maybe all of that is just a construct. And so when we show up and meditate in whatever way, when we show up and sit with ourselves, we are saying to ourselves, no, I'm not just my judgments, I'm not just my fear, I'm not just my lust, I'm not just my 5-year plan or my niggling annoyance that my partner doesn't do the washing up. I'm more than that. There's something deeper inside of me. There's something more beautiful than that. And just look in the mirror to see that it's true. You are beautiful. The human body, you know, being alive, you know, it's like, oh my God, how did this happen? You know, it was an absolute phenomenal experience we have to be alive and to just witness flowers and trees and birds and helicopters and I don't know, whatever, you know, it's just like, it's an incredible experience. And what stops it being an incredible experience is when we get hooked into this and we start to become identified as this, you know. We lose our spaciousness, we lose our perspective, we lose our ability to let things flow over us, to brush things off. Suddenly it really hurts, suddenly it really pains us, suddenly it really grates us, suddenly it's such a problem, and suddenly, you know, it's like, that is a truth. We're not denying that. We're not saying here that pain does not exist. We're not saying here that difficulties don't exist. We're not saying here that the ego doesn't exist. It's real, it's tangible. We're feeling it every day, yeah? With our sadness, with our grief, with our hostility, with our judgment. It's real. But then, there's also, like we did with our meditation, the sounds outside. There's also the sensations in the soles of the feet. There's also the breath, and so on, and so on, and so on. And so as you sit and as you meditate and as you exercise that muscle in whatever way you do, it increases your ability to remain open and receptive to life and not contracted into one particular truth of your experience. Because if we're living in a world and a universe that's constantly changing, what is truth? Even truth is not a fixed thing. Nothing is fixed, you know? Nothing is fixed. The whole of human civilization and everything that we have learned, everything we've achieved will one day be dust and be forgotten. Nothing will last forever. And that is okay, you know? We've got to face up to our own mortality as individuals. Nature isn't petrified all the time of its own death. It's just getting on with life. So if we can plug back into that, my plants aren't sitting here in a constant state of, oh my God, I might die in a minute, oh no, that plant over there looks much nicer than me. Maybe I need to go to the gym, maybe I need to work out more. I wish you'd do the washing up. They're just plants. They're just free expressions of life. You're never going to see a plant going into a counsellor or a therapist. If you do, then you're tripping, and you need to seek help immediately. We can get really bogged down with this identification. We can get really suffocated by this madman in control of the madhouse. And meditation allows some spaciousness to come around that. It allows us to start investigating, well, if I'm not my ego, if I'm not those wants and those desires and my 5-year plan, etc., who am I? When you can start really asking that question and be interested, kind of like, if everything is changing and nothing is fixed, then who is this thing that I think of as me? There are no real answers. No spiritual teacher can give you the answers. All the books that have ever been written on spirituality, they're only ever signposts in the direction that you're encouraged to go, because we've all got to walk our own path, and we've all got to experience our own experience. And it will come in a million different experiences, a million different ways, a million different, unique, completely special truths. But there's that underlying essence of freedom, of liberty, of evolution, revolution, letting go, I sit in a huge amount of pain, and I've come to a place where I'm okay with that. Not all the time. I'm not going to say that it's all the time, but I would say most of the time, And that's come from turning up and sitting and meditating. That's all that's in our way is us. This version of us. And we're incredible manifestors, I really believe, I'm really experiencing that there is no God, we are God, we are part of God, there is no separate. So this immense, incredible wisdom and intelligence and power is available to us. This whole law of attraction thing, what we think we create. And the powers that be, they're well plugged into this, man. The whole Illuminati thing, it's all about the third eye, right? This eye, So it's all about connecting. They know that they can wield this energy to their advantage. Because energy is neutral. Everything is neutral. This expanding, contracting universe that we're a part of. It's not evil, and it's not saintly. Because there's birth, and there's death, and there's violence. Look at the universe. There's violence there. You get the volcanoes on the earth. There's violence and destruction. And that's part of life. So this whole idea of, good and bad, and this whole idea of, evil and satanic, nah. It doesn't exist outside of here. So we can change our relationship with this. We can change our relationship with the earth. We can change our relationship with nature, with the planets, with our friends, with our difficulties. We start to have a bit of fluidity, a bit of movement. Maybe we start to see a little glimmer of some change, and it's like, aha. That's like, is it Hansel and Gretel or whatever, but what is it, the sprinkle on the path?
Is it bread, I think?
Bread, is it bread?
Yeah,
I think it might be bread, but it's like you see breadcrumb, isn't it? That's right, yeah. So you see one breadcrumb, it's like, it might be just the tiniest little morsel. Tiniest little morsel. But that's your, your encouragement. Big things come from small. Like a whole rainforest comes from a couple of seeds, right? And the potential to sweet. The energy is so high. The energy is so high, especially here in Brighton. For transformation, for creativity, for breakthroughs. So, we're incredibly lucky to be in such a high energy environment. Sometimes it's difficult to see it that way, because maybe sometimes we'd like it to be a lot calmer. But there's a tremendous potential for us as people who are interested in personal development, who are interested in answering some of those unanswerable questions. Who am I? What is this all about? Am I just this, or am I, start to have a childlike curiosity again. When did we stop being kids? When did we get so serious? It's such a tragedy. Because we're all little kids, really, That energy is still within us that wants to play and create. And when we're hacked off with somebody, we're not just going, I don't think, we tell them. We cry. It's okay, guys, be childlike, be expressive, be curious about life. And when you get that little breadcrumb, that little glimmer of change, really celebrate it, really be grateful for it. Because the law of attraction states clearly that what you focus on, you get more of. So if there's 99% darkness in your life, focus on that tiny, tiny sliver of light, and it'll only get better, it'll only get bigger. Trust me, it's just inevitable. And I've talked enough. So